Silence. People go to retreat and they're silent. Why? In ancient traditions, they would do such practices, they'll be silent. Why? There is a gift in silence, unmeasurable. It is an unimaginable state of being that can be attained through the door of silence. Now you open the door of silence, you look what's there, you see nothing. So why all these promises? We'll go through the door. Dear brothers and sisters, go through the doors of silence and you will discover an oasis inside, a well, a fountain of life. You need to walk for a while in silence. Normally it takes some time in silence. And sometimes you need a month or 40 days in silence. But if you go deep enough and using some spiritual methods, even 5 days, very good. 1 day, very good. There are little fountains on the way, but the very deep fountains, you need to be silent for a while. Something happens extraordinary. A different I emerges. You see, we were created by society and we were created by nature or by the universe, or some say by a spiritual force, by God. And we are a mixture of the two. Nature, life, the universe gave us this body. Society gave us a language. And language gave us thoughts. Yeah. We normally think in words. And words were given to us by society. And we live in a world of words, in a world of thoughts, in a social world, as social beings. And yet we are still this body created by nature. And some say this soul and spirit created by the Supreme Spirit. But our attention is directed and even trapped into the social me. That we can't conceive that there is a me that is more raw, more fundamental, more essential, a real me that remains, that is, was, and will be untouched by society. Now, society has its benefits, and this is definitely not an anti-society video. It has its benefits, and it's so wonderful to communicate, to build this world together socially, to interact and so forth. But compares to the perfection of nature and of spirit, society is just a small part, a tiny part of the vast potential of human experience. If one can experience oneself beyond, deeper than the social me, one would discover a tremendous resources. So many people, I'm a psychologist, right? So many people complain that they lack enthusiasm, they lack purpose, they lack happiness, peace, confidence. Well, if you search for those, for peace and confidence and happiness solely in the social me, it's very difficult and very inefficient, very inefficient. Because to find confidence, peace and happiness in the social me, there needs to be an outer conjunction all the time that would fit, so that I am validated enough, rich enough, praised enough, so that I can be confident, happy, peaceful, whatever. But beyond this way of thinking of society, which is verbal, there is a silent me inside, much more solid, much more real. The social I is a caricature, is AI image formed, an AI video, compares to the I of silence, compares to the I which is continuously made of nature. That I is solid, is quiet. And the confidence there is unshaken, the peace there is unshaken, the happiness is unimaginably big. And one of the ways, there are many ways to get to this more primordial sense of I, or existence of I. One of the ways to get there is to be silent. When we are silent outside, we don't use words, and then gradually, inwardly, we use less words. And in the gap, in the space interwoven between words, silence. And in silence, it starts to appear. Peace, happiness, enthusiasm, vitality, just being grounded, the feeling that everything is sufficient, that there is nothing to desire, and that there is nothing to fear. You see, the trees, they know that there is nothing to fear, that there is nowhere to go to. The trees are established in an existential confidence. And we too are established in that already. But we tend to direct our attention to words and not to silence. Silence is here inside of us and everywhere already. Silence is the same now like a year ago and like 1,000,000 years ago. Silence is the same here as it is in Mars or in another galaxy. Silence is a gateway to something extraordinarily real, extraordinarily solid, that will emanate a tremendous amount of emotional resources, a tremendous amount of energy, of peace, of creativity, of confidence. If we bring our attention to the pre-existing silence, we will become less and less dependent on society, less and less like beggars of society, and more abundant, so that we can give something to the world. It is proportional. The more silence we have, the more we have to give. The more agitated we have, the less we have to give. When we are agitated and full of words and lost in our social self, we come to society as beggars. We need somebody to listen to us, somebody to give us likes and views, somebody to validate us, because we are full of words and lost in the social I. But when we are grounded and established, or even when we just visit the silent I, we come with abundance. And then the social I is very useful, because the social I is the channel where we can give the richness of peace that we have. And giving peace is even better than having peace. And giving happiness is even better than having happiness. And giving confidence, enthusiasm, aspiration, inspiration, creativity is a shift. First you stop speaking, then the mind is quiet, and then to be interested in that silence. Normally our orientation of attention goes to something that is changing. We, and also our ancestors throughout millions of years of evolution, were trained When we know something, look at the next thing and study that. We look at things that change. With silence, if we want to harness silence, we need to look at the same silence again and again, afresh, to be interested in the silence that is here now. This is what I do every day. I look at the same silence with fascination. And then silence becomes a treasure. And you never know what treasure it will give. What we do in our retreats, we invite people into that silence. And we see so many transformed, peaceful, happy faces. 3 years of my life I spent in silence, not talking, and going into this silence. It was always a sacrifice, not to do anything, not to make money, not relationships, not family, not to speak with friends, not to touch the internet, not to watch movies, just silence, nature, some books, and a lot of spiritual practice. Was it easy? No. Does it get easier after 20-something years? Yes, but it's still challenging. It's still challenging to be alone like that, and it's sometimes difficult, but it's totally worth it. And I love the challenge of it. And it's filled with such richness that they're just there to be harnessed, to be revealed, and then to be given further to the world. Because it is much more fulfilling once we discover something inside to give it further. So the invitation of this presentation is to go inside and to discover, to connect, to see our social I and our raw, natural, deep, silent I, the spiritual I. Not to be afraid of the loneliness of the silence, but rather to cherish it. And in the process, yes, it gets difficult because the social I also covers some of our pain. It's one of the things the social I does. And when we go and remove the social I by having less and less social interactions, less and less words, we would also find this pain. Don't worry. Just continue, go deeper. Under the pain there is love. To quote Mother Teresa, continue. In the end of pain there is silence, and the silence itself will heal the pain and will make our being whole. So the invitation of this presentation is to discover the treasures within that are hidden in silence, to look again and again at silence and be free. Many of you probably had such experiences, and you had moments of silence, retreats, longer silence, 1 day, 7 days, or just a minute of meaningful silence. And I'll be interested if you share in the comments and we can discuss together. If you like this video and want to learn more about Tantra, about yoga, about psychology, emotional healing, lives of saints and the scriptures,
then hit the bell, like, subscribe, and you'll never miss an upload. Thank you so much.